Hey everybody, Tony D and Little Joan here with a Screenwriter's Rant on Operation Mincemeat, starring Colin Firth. It's a World War II drama. Looks pretty cool, about an incident I never knew about. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Please check out my books. If you'd like to support the channel, get Joan some treats. She got a treat today because someone's reading book 4 of the Pineys. That's the feud of the Pineys. Also, don't forget we have 2 other videos on Bitchute and Rumble. The links are right in the description. So today is a news blast, which is not to be missed, and a Hollywoke hot take. Just click down below. You might have to. I don't think you have to start an account, but you can. You know, it's best that you do because I'll probably get kicked off of YouTube eventually. I mean, they've nearly kicked me off several times. Operation Mincemeat takes place in World War II, and it's about an attack on Sicily that the English were going to do, and they decided that the Germans knew about it somehow. So in order to keep them, Ian Fleming's in it, by the way, which is kind of cool, right? He's the guy who created James Bond. Anyhow, and apparently, I assume this is based on a true story, they decide that what they're going to do is they're going to convince the Germans they actually are going to attack Greece. So they concoct this plan where they're going to take a body, put an attaché case in it with a bunch of secret classified papers, let it wash up on the shore in occupied territory where the Germans are, and then use that so that Hitler goes to, defends the wrong area, and then they can invade Sicily. And there's lots of talk. Colin Firth there. I think is that Timothy Dalton? I think that's Timothy Dalton, isn't it? Looks like him. Or maybe it's just the actor who looks like him. There's a guy playing Churchill. No, that's not Timothy Dalton, right? Just a guy who kind of looks like him. Anyhow, it's all about the operation behind the scenes. In July 1943, they concocted this plan. They needed a body. They needed details on the body, so when the Germans found them, they would, meticulously pick it apart. And so this was like one of the big deceptions in history. So they're going to put all these really authentic-looking things, so the intel gets to Hitler, and Hitler changes his plan. And the Germans think they're very clever, and then meanwhile the invasion can happen, and then otherwise, if it happens and the Germans are ready for it, they'll be killed. It'll be a massacre. If the Germans aren't ready, if they're busy defending Greece, then they're good. So this looks pretty good. I like the whole premise of the movie. It's a moment in history I wasn't familiar with. I never heard this story. I did hear the story of how Matthew McConaughey was in a movie and it was really a bunch of English guys who did it, but they took over a sub and they stole the machine the Nazis were using for code, and they were able to crack their code and listen to all their communications. So let's see. Screenplay by Michelle Ashford, directed by John Madden. Based on the book by Ben McIntyre. Yeah, it sounds like a book. It sounds like it has a ton of detail in it. So, this looks like a good book, a good movie, and possibly a good book. First act's going to be the war. It's not going great. It's earlier in the war, I guess. 43. It's not that early. They need to do this invasion. They're all set up to do it. They're worried the Germans are going to be ready, so they concoct this plan. Act 2, they build the plan. They come up with all sorts of things to do, to make it look authentic. They execute it, and now they're worried, is it going to work? And most of the third act is it working? And then finally they launch the invasion in the climax. And does the invasion work? I believe it did. I'm going to guess yes, it did, because we kicked the Germans out of Italy pretty effectively, is my understanding. So, yeah. Plus, we had a lot of help on the ground. I mean, the Sicilians, Mussolini was not kind to the mafioso. Oh, no. No, he was not. So, the mafia was there to help, I believe. in the war effort, because they were not friends with Mussolini, is my understanding. Anywho, that looks cool. January 2022. Finally getting into next year. Yeah, I'd see this movie. I don't know if I'd go to the theaters for it, only because, it's no, I don't think that's Timothy Dalton. It's just an actor who looks like him. I'm looking at the actor list. Nah, I forget his name. He's a good actor though. It always reminds me of Dalton though, and I always confused it too. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd go see this in cinemas unless I was really bored. January's the kind of time of year I might go to the cinema for something like this, but I might just wait for it. But I think it'll be decent. It looks like a cool World War II movie. One that it's got a good hook. The intrigue. It's not about just blowing up guys and hearing It's about a cool plan and a little slice of history that maybe you've never seen before. So that's it for me, Tony D. Joan and I will see you tomorrow.